Hey, hi, hello, welcome to Even More News Monday edition. I don't know, title is a work in progress. We're going to workshop that. I'm Katy Stoll, hi.
Hi, Katy Stoll, and thank you so much. I'm Cody Johnston. Welcome to Be Determined, the show, the slopper.
The last 3 days.
The slopper bucket. Hi.
Hi. Jonathan is also here. Whoop, whoop.
Hi, on a Monday, I'm here.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Prove it.
I can't show you my bushy tail, but you can see my bright eyes.
I didn't want to shake my butt on camera.
I want to see what you're drinking out of.
Oh, oh, do you?
I really want to
look at that
just
mug.
Because. Oh my gosh,
Jonathan is also here.
That?
Mug.
Oh my gosh.
It looks
it's
so
your beautiful
good.
face, and you're saying hi, and you're also there, and you're on a mug and everything.
Our loyal listeners and viewers to understand that you asked for this merch. You begged for this merch. And
this
it
is
has
for
been
you.
in the merch store, and Jonathan is the only one that's bought one.
Well,
we've sold a sticker and a shirt. You know, it's not every day.
Did you buy a sticker, Jonathan?
I didn't. I just bought
Is there a sticker at the bottom of that mug?
Also, you shouldn't buy it. We'll reimburse you for that.
It's not every day, though, you get to drink out of a mug with your face on it, except it is for me now. It is every day.
It is for you now.
No.
Well, we made that merch just specifically for you.
Enough about that.
I just need to introduce what this new version, this new show is. It's a new version. We want to do our best to keep up with the absolute fire hose of news. So we are recording this Monday morning, and we're going to do our best to cover all the stuff that develops between when we record on Thursday and now Monday morning. It is going to be a little different. It's going to be quicker. No holidays to celebrate.
Oh.
Just mainlining that good news.
Oh, good news.
Good news.
You said good news?
I don't think there's any good news.
Oh.
Unless you're a bad person, I suppose.
Oh, well.
Jonathan, where are we starting? I know, but explain for our listeners.
We're starting in New York City.
In New York City.
The big city.
At Columbia University, Trump is cutting $400 million in funds to Columbia because of apparently how they handled the encampments last spring.
Yeah.
And they're threatening to remove up to $5 billion in federal grants that they're eligible for going forward.
And this did start developing last week. We briefly mentioned this and didn't have time to go into it, but more has developed since then. But so last week he declared illegal protests. You know, funding would be revoked from schools over a legal protest.
Oh, yeah. And he said this months ago. Like, this was he mentioned this during his campaign. Like, this is part of it.
And then over the weekend, a student, permanent resident of the United States, was detained by ICE for leading one of the encampments. His name is Mahmoud Khalil. He was taken from a university-owned residence on Saturday night by ICE. He has a wife who is 8 months pregnant. They don't know exactly.
She's American, right?
Yes. Like, their lawyer, Amy Greer, has been trying to track him down. They think he might be in Louisiana. They don't know where he's been detained. And let's be very clear. This is like detaining people, disappearing people.
This is terrifying.
This is thought policing. They say it's because he's a Hamas supporter. But of course, he was leading an encampment aiming to get Colombia to divest from Israel, which is different from support for Hamas.
This is what we've talked about. The difference between, obviously, Biden administration was terrible about the war. Kamala really missed the mark in how she campaigned. And we knew that this would be 10,000 times worse under a Trump administration. Outright horrifying. The fact that all of it's horrifying, but I'm really, really locked in on they don't know where he is. What the fuck do you mean they don't know where he is?
Well, they didn't even know, they said his visa was revoked, and then he was like, well, I have a green card, and well, that's been revoked too. It was just this weird back and forth where they didn't even know the details of what they were doing. They were just the directive seems to have been just like, just get him. Just get him for like, and say whatever you have to get this person. Which, and like, you have people have varying opinions about the protests and all this stuff, but this is the first one.
Yeah.
This is not the last thing that will happen like this.
To back this up, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, well, he tweeted, "We will be revoking the visas and/or green cards of Hamas supporters in America so they can be deported." First of all, legally, they can't revoke a green card. Marco Rubio does not have the power to do that. Donald Trump does not have the power to unilaterally do that. An immigration judge would have to do that. And there's a lot of the language they use. Like Marco Rubio says Hamas supporters. And then the DHS spokesperson said Khalil-led activities aligned to Hamas. So they're not even saying they're not saying he's a member of Hamas or even someone who's like from an organizational capacity supported Hamas. They're just saying, well, he's aligned with them in that maybe he wants some of the same things that
you can define
wants.
that so many different ways.
Yeah, wanting a company or a university to divest from another country is grounds for deportation now.
Yeah, it's absurd. And it is something we've talked about before. Sorry, folks. But this is something that was always on the horizon, and
sucks being right, doesn't it?
Sucks being right. But also, this is something that, again, we've seen like last year, a lot of Democrats and liberals supporting this line of thinking and this sort of logic of like, oh, you're like calling people Hamas supporters who are at these protests, saying that you're aligned with Hamas for these divestment camps and things like that. And so they've laid the groundwork to let this happen more. Like they don't really have legs to stand on in defending this because they've spent a year calling them Hamas supporters. If you're supporting that narrative, you're handing Trump an easier time to get this stuff done. Columbia University did tons of stuff to crack down on these protests. Like they arrested students. They did all kinds of stuff to like do the right thing and do what everybody in that world wanted them to do. Yet they still
air quotes on do the right thing, by the way.
Do the right thing, air quotes for our listeners. So they've done all these things already, and yet still they're like, well, we're pulling your funding because you're Hamas terrorist supporters and all this kind of stuff. Again, this like laying the groundwork for this fascist crackdown is what happened last year, and it sucks. I guess is my point. I don't know.
I couldn't agree with you more completely, my friend. And if you think it stops,
that's gonna fit on a mug.
I don't know. I was trying a new catchphrase. Couldn't agree with you more completely, my friend.
My friend.
I just feel like my head is spinning off of my body. The way it's framed when you dig into the discourse online about, let's say, these terrible riots at these college campuses. Citation needed about the riots. There was some protests. There were some, kids being stopped from going to classes a bit. Not really. They can walk around. Regardless, the sheer hypocrisy of an actual riot at our Capitol and all of these January 6thers being, I don't even have to use the word coup. It was a fucking riot. We can all agree on that. Just the wild hypocrisy. These are students exercising their rights. And then also, though, when you dig in online, I fucking dared to tread into a Libs of TikTok tweet about it.
Oh God.
But I was horrified by the responses, but also pleased by some amount of people saying, I voted for Trump, but this doesn't seem right.
Well, no, but I think the January 6th comparison is apt because Trump is intentionally doing what MAGA perceives happened to them during the Biden administration, where they were all arrested and detained for their beliefs. They weren't. But that's what they're intentionally trying to do. I want to point out that they do know where Mahmoud Khalil is being held. He is at a facility in Jena, Louisiana. They originally told his wife that he was in a holding facility in New Jersey, and I guess he was there briefly, but she went there on Sunday and he wasn't there. So it's just a complete cluster. Another, that spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security also said that the justification for detaining him was, quote, in support of President Trump's executive orders prohibiting anti-Semitism, which is different than aligned with Hamas unless you just mash all that stuff together.
The hypocrisy is what's really getting my goat.
One of the Doge guys was like, yeah, we need to like normalize Indian hate and like I love racism. Like what? Like okay, but to your point, Jonathan, like there's no clear reason because they know they don't need one because they're just gonna do this, and they seem to have things in place where you can say, but that's illegal, sir, and that doesn't matter. And saying like, oh, you're a Hamas supporter, or oh, you're aligned with Hamas, or oh, you're just anti-Semitic. Like those three things are not just, but you know what I mean? Those are all the same, and you can define it however you want and get rid of whoever you want. And nothing matters.
Our Monday morning show is off to a rousing start. Feeling good, feeling fine.
On Friday, we talked about the tariffs and their justification for the tariffs, none of which makes sense, and why they might actually be doing this, particularly to Canada. And one thing we didn't mention is this attempt by Trump to economically demolish Canada so that they will become the 51st state. And this suggestion, we've kind of laughed it off because it's so incredibly stupid. But Trump has said he's serious, and
his actions
Justin Trudeau has said
he's
serious. They're taking this very, very seriously.
Well, I just want to acknowledge, because we've got a lot of Canadian viewers and listeners, and we love you so much, and we appreciate you. And rightfully, some people were not mean or anything. This isn't like pointing out that the reality of what it feels like to be living in Canada right now, to be experiencing this rhetoric and feeling this, and it's horrifying. And under no circumstances do we want to brush that under the rug. This is a threat, and it's mind-boggling.
It's like there's this idea of like, well, he's only going to go after like Toronto and the area around there. I mean,
but even that,
expansionist,
like, there's nothing.
No, of course, that's absurd. No, even just invading Quebec a little bit or something would be.
What are we talking about?
There's seemingly no reason for it other than hubris and maybe like, oh, they've got some resources there that we could use, and that's what other leaders do, is that's what Putin's doing, expanding his area. He just thinks it would be cool if he was the guy to expand the United States for the first time in however long.
And he's also seems to be aiming for, places in the north, and like Greenland, and it does seem like it's one of those things where conservatives and Republicans and fascists, I guess, don't believe in climate change, but their actions are aligned with what a fascist might do if they did believe in climate change. Even like Trump's, like back in the day, his golf course, they built a seawall for the rising sea. But he doesn't believe in climate change. It's a hoax from the Chinese, but his actions still line up with it. And a lot of the Canada-Greenland stuff seems to be somewhat related to that, where it's like, well, obviously it's like real, but we're going to treat it differently.
Cody, you think, though, if the sea level rose, that Trump wouldn't just sell his golf course and move it to somewhere else?
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Don't you think, why wouldn't you just sell it and move?
He should just sell it to somebody. Some fictional
fucking Aquaman.
It's hard to follow all of the threats. It's hard to understand what's going to stick and what isn't. We've got some tariffs on, some tariffs off. You guys are feeling that for real, and it's really we don't know where this is headed at this exact moment or what will actually materialize, but it's all terrifying. Our new producer Moana had pointed out, like, right now, he's doing an executive order to start logging our national forests. Is this tied in with the tariffs, on lumber from
put a
Canada?
Logger in charge.
It's like, it's a lot to sort. But we certainly acknowledge this, and gosh, don't hate us.
I also think Trump might not have known that a bunch of the Great Lakes are like technically split between the United States and Canada. Like, I think Lake Michigan is completely in the US, but all of the others were just kind of like the jurisdiction is through the middle. And he's like, no, we should have the north part of Lake Erie too. What the hell? That's
he keeps learning stuff, and
you never
being
stop
like,
learning.
but we shouldn't be doing that. And like some of these stuff is like, yeah, but like we made the deal. Like, what do you like? It's just this long pattern of betraying our allies and making them simply not trust us anymore for anything.
Yeah.
Not that we should be like fully trusted in all the things that we do, but like every single thing is like, well, we should just redo it. We should just take it back. We shouldn't have done that deal. It's a bad deal. Yeah, but you're new, man. Like,
well, right. The emphasis on the 1908 border treaty is very Putin-esque. He's saying, look, this treaty that demarcated the borders 120 years ago, that was not a valid treaty because of no. You know, like that's very, very specific. Like, well, let me regale you with the history of this country. I believe Putin probably knows Russian history a little, even though he's distorting it. He knows Russian history way better than Trump knows American history. I don't believe Trump could pass a civics
Trump
test.
half distorts it just because he has no idea.
Right. So they're both lying about stuff, but for far different reasons.
Yeah. I just want to highlight, we're talking about this tariffs. We're going to talk about this forever and ever. He's still talking about them like they're threats and part of a deal making. But then he says like, well, actually the tariffs are going to bring in billions and billions of dollars and you're going to have more money than you could possibly imagine. Well, which is it? Are they good and necessary, or are they a threat to get some other deal happening?
And what's the goal? What are we talking about here?
It's absurd. Also, like he's like talking about saying like, oh yes, we need a rough transition. Secretary of the Treasury said it was a detox period, is what they described it as.
Other words for recession. It's not good, folks. None of it's good. It's not good for us. It's not good for Canada. It's not good for the world. Nothing is good. Everything's bad.
I have a small thing I could talk about.
Oh, you've got a small thing?
Yeah.
Let her fire.
Just a small little
friend.
Thing. Yeah.
Not gonna make
even more news.
Work.
All the small things.
All the small things.
We're gonna need you guys to sound off in the comments what we should call this.
Even more news. Damn it.
Wait, Cody, what's your small thing?
My small thing is something that doesn't technically matter, but it does in the large scheme of things, and it's illustrative of the many obvious lies told by the Doge guy and his Doge team. I'm going to read this tweet. It's from a couple days ago. It's from Doge, @Doge, on twitter.com. The VA canceled a $56,000 contract to water about 8 plants for 5 years. This is about $1,400 per plant per year. The contract has been canceled, and Doge will water the plants free of charge.
Those plants are donezo.
That's the first reaction is those plants are dead. You're going to throw those plants away or they're going to die slowly. What a weird thing to say. Doge will water the plants free of charge. No, they won't. They're not going to be living in the VA offices. Like, what are you talking about? They're not going to show up to water these plants multiple times a week. So that is absurd and a lie, obviously. But what I want to highlight is so stupid. I'm sorry for wasting everybody's time. They share 2 pictures in the tweet, and one is a picture in the office of 2 plants in like the lobby, and another is a picture of the paper that tells everybody not to water the plants. I'm going to read this and describe the piece of paper. Please do not water these plants. These plants are serviced by a plant contractor. Thank you. Buildings Management Division. The paper has pictures of 15 different types of plants. There are 15 different types of plants that they're not supposed to water. There's another picture of 2 of the same type of plant in the office. Therefore, one can assume there are at least 16 plants in the office that are to be watered. About 8 is a weird estimation when there are 15 different types of plants that are to be watered by these people. I would posit that there are probably like 20 to 30 plants, not about 8. So actually, it costs about $700 per plant per year, or probably less.
This is a
And that's all
small
I
thing.
wanna
You're
talk
right.
about.
You're right.
It does
This
not
is-
matter.
But you know what? This is the weekend update, whatever,
This is
whatever.
the weekend update.
last
It doesn't
3 days.
matter. I just think it's like it's very illustrative of like, but that's an obvious lie. About 8, you're sharing a picture with 15.
Cody's worked
Why would
up.
you say about 8? It's just like there's such liars.
I'd like to bring one other thing up related to this, because even if you agree, like, okay, well, the government shouldn't let people who work in those offices bring their own plans. We should, fine, whatever.
Totally.
If Doge is supposed to be saving hundreds of billions of dollars, if they are bragging online about saying we're saving you $56,000 over 5 years, like $10K a year for the federal government is like me saying I saved money by not buying my son this like whale bath toy where the water goes blah, blah, blah. Like, this is nothing. This is crap. Like, what are you talking about? If my wife came home and I'm like, I saved us so much money today, I canceled the contract. I'm returning this. I got the receipt. I'm returning this for 35 cents. Consider the money saved.
You're welcome.
She'd be like, why did you waste my time? You should have worked 2 minutes longer and made more money if that's how this worked.
Also be like you saying like, I returned 9 of them. And she'd be like, but we only have 1. Like,
all right, boys, your point has been made. This is stupid. But tell me, surely the Doge guy is getting along with other people. Things are going swimmingly in cabinet meetings. Like his relationship with Marco Rubio, for example.
Oh, for sure. So, I mean, on Friday,
Queen of transitions.
I love these palace intrigue stories. Maggie Haberman is like, I don't buy the thing that the media loves Trump and they wanted Trump back, but Maggie Haberman is like, thank goodness.
I do buy that thing. I do buy the thing that the media loves Trump. I mean, it's a complicated love-hate, but
it's complicated, but I would,
There was this cabinet meeting on Friday, hastily assembled. It was called Thursday night. They met Friday. The whole cabinet was there. Elon Musk is there. A bunch of cabinet secretaries have been going to Trump and saying, this guy is like firing people left and right. Is he running my department or am I running my department? And Trump is like, let's get in the boardroom. Let's apprentice this. I can figure this out. Elon Musk starts just berating cabinet secretaries, pulling out like, well, I've run a bunch of billion-dollar companies. You don't think I know what I'm doing? Marco Rubio gets all upset and they get into a shouting match back and forth. So Elon and little Marco, the New York Times says, Elon Musk was letting Mr. Rubio have it, accusing him of failing to slash his staff. You have fired nobody, Mr. Musk told Mr. Rubio, then scornfully added that perhaps the only person he had fired was a staff member from Mr. Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. So they all hate each other. They're not doing very well. Musk also suggested that Rubio was, quote, good on TV, with the clear subtext, this is the New York Times, with the clear subtext being that he was not good for much else.
I would posit he's not even good on TV, but...
Yeah, this is, again, just like, this is what we would expect.
But now there's lots of, they love each other tweets. Nothing to see here.
It's so
Look
funny.
the other way, folks.
One interesting thing about this story, I thought, because like the Rubio thing is like, okay, Rubio, you're not going to last that long. Like, I know like you're on board and you're going to pretend to be like, we are a serious administration, but like you're going to be slumped in your little couch while Zelensky is like, they demand him to be like, to thank them or whatever. Sean Duffy was also involved in this story. And Sean Duffy, for viewers, for our younger viewers, he was on The Real World. He started his career on The Real World. Seattle, I think.
It's a show on MTV.
Yeah.
It was a show.
MTV
It was a show.
is
It was a show on MTV.
television.
MTV was music television.
Started in the 80s.
Television
We don't have
was
time. We
this
don't have
thing
time.
you could have,
Well,
like
they
you
showed
have all these
music
channels,
videos.
right? Ooh, okay. But Sean Duffy is the head of the Department of Transportation, and he also had a bit of a back and forth with Musk because Musk's Doge kept demanding that he fire air traffic controllers, and Duffy was like, but no, this is my department. And then Musk was like, but how many, who name the names, name names, who's fired? And Duffy was like, well, nobody, because I didn't do the thing that you demanded I do. So I can't give you names because I'm not doing the bad idea that you have.
Hell yeah, real world.
And I thought that was just like, that's an I know, like it seems
This is the real world, Musk.
It's a fascinating thing because like Marco Rubio knew what he was getting into. Like he's like, oh, I'll do okay, yes, sir, Mr. Trump. Sean Duffy is like one of those guys like, yeah, I'm a Fox News guy. Yeah, all right, Trump's great. Like, they just like gas him up for years because like part of their career and all this stuff. And it seems like he's like, wait, but I thought I was gonna like run the Department of Transportation. Wait, is this kind of like a fucking clown show? Like,
I gotta
what's
read
going
this
on
stuff.
here?
Read the thing.
According to the New York Times, the exchange ended with Mr. Trump telling Mr. Duffy that he had to hire people from MIT as air traffic controllers. These air traffic controllers need to be geniuses, he said.
What are you talking about?
End of episode.
End
End of The Apprentice episode, not this
God.
episode.
Not this. Well, pretty close. Yeah, it is all wild, mind-boggling, chaotic, not the way to run a country, terrifying for anybody that's working in these departments or just your average American that wants to fly somewhere soon. Because, and I don't want to lean into all the rhetoric about the amount of crashes we have being reported, because we do have more plane accidents than we realize, and they are being reported now, but it's a wild time to be talking about firing these people and
I'm fine blaming them all.
I mean, it's not going to get better like this.
I'm fine saying it's all their fault. Real quick conclusion to this Duffy story. One day later, Elon Musk unfollowed him on Twitter.
Oh, burn.
God.
Burn.
I also, before we move on or end, Rubio, with the Rubio story, there is a deputy State Department official named Darren Beatty, who has deleted a bunch of tweets.
The racist guy who was like, we need white people in the government.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
great.
he's deleted a bunch of tweets where he called Rubio low IQ and said he went to foam parties, I believe.
What? Okay.
Whatever a foam party is. But I do want to read a tweet that, as of now, he has not deleted.
Okay, yummy.
That tweet says, competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work. Unfortunately, our entire national ideology is predicated on coddling the feelings of women and minorities and demoralizing competent white men. That tweet's up. That guy is high-ranking in the State Department.
Yeah, he is.
It's horrifying.
He works for Marco Rubio.
It's all real bad. We got a little silly, and I want to tie this back. And all these people are very racist, and they're all these bad people who work in this administration. And that is to tie it back to what we're talking about. They're just gonna like go after like black and brown people and people who don't look like them, and deport as many people as possible who don't look right. And we're seeing the start of that, and using this as a pretext that a lot of people seem to be going along with. I've already seen like some liberals be like, well, he's a terrorist, so like get him out of here.
Right.
It's real, again, like flashbacks to past administrations. They
set the stage for this.
100%. Yeah. And now we're here. Biden, but even like, like post 9/11 flashbacks and stuff where it's like, okay,
Absolutely.
we're just like calling everybody a terrorist, trying to get them out. And now we have these, again, like these vicious clowns kind of working together in this like cobbled together movement of people who disagree with each other, but agree on just enough. And one of the main things they agree on is like Trump is king, and he's going to do all this stuff and get it done. And anyone who says that's illegal will not be involved for long. And it's chilling. So
chilling and overwhelming. Yeah, you can get away with accusing people of something without any evidence. And there's so much coming down the pipeline at all times. It's hard to keep track of stories. Okay, and one fun thing we will leave you on with, we all have to watch this more in depth, but Sam Cedar did a Jubilee-style debate situation, and the clips are absolutely astounding. I am going to treat myself by watching it all later today.
Oh, yeah.
It does tie in with a lot of these conversations. When you talk about, you said that they are racists. It's easy to say, and I don't think that everybody that voted for Donald Trump is racist. I'm going to say that again, but a lot of them are. And one of them is highlighted in this video, and she just flat out says it. Like, what's wrong with having an ethno state? What's wrong with us being white? And other people just so unable to grasp the basic reality of, oh no, DEI in the government doesn't mean that they're getting tax breaks because they're the fucking government. They don't pay taxes. It is mind-blowing, but watch it, maybe.
It's a fascinating look. I've watched it. I think I have to believe some of these people are doing characters and bits. They can't be real people. There's no way they're real people. It is. I know they are, but my brain is really struggling to believe that they're real people. But sort of to a point I was kind of making earlier about like the Trump movement, it is really interesting to see 20 conservatives talk about these issues. And first of all, they don't actually address the things he says. It's very much, they're sort of making his argument for him by being like, actually nationalism's great, or actually billionaires are great. Like they sort of argue in a weird way by not arguing with him. But it is interesting to see like, oh, there's like 4 racists who are like, yeah, I'm racist. And then there are other people who are like, wait, what? Like there are these factions of people who have been cobbled together in support of one thing, which is Donald Trump, and the like many like swirl of lies that he says. And it's just very interesting to see them all try to argue these same things, but in different ways for different reasons, and then be like, wait, well, I don't agree with
that guy said. Right.
And it's very, very interesting.
It kind of crystallizes everything that we've been saying, that I've been saying, which is like, yeah, people have bad ideas. Some of them are bad about this. Some of them has nothing to do with race, but it does have to do with this. And it's all wrong.
Or it does, and they don't realize it. And but then, yeah.
It's just more nuanced and more insidious. And with that, my friends, I think we've done it. I don't know what this voice is.
I agree with you completely.
Thank you.
And I couldn't disagree more, my friend.
Jonathan, my friend, how you doing?
I feel great.
The end of the show check-in. Awesome. We feel great. We feel cathartic. Ready to go tackle the week.
Go read
my
more
friends
news.
At home, we love you very much. And end of the show.
You said it so quickly.